We're YouTube streaming, Bob.
All right.
BaD Radio 1310.
That's exciting news.
So watch what you say during breaks.
A bit late for that.
Well, it's, it's trial and error. You learn things. That's important. Important in coaching, as Jon Kitna will confirm to us, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's a coach. Well, practice is for that. Hi, I'm Dan. Dan McDowell. This is Bob. Yes. And this voice right here is Jon Kitna.
Hey, Coach.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
Do you remember Bob?
Yep. Of course.
We had a history.
Okay. Bob was wondering on the drive over if you'd remember where you met him.
Well, I don't remember that, but definitely remember faces.
We were at some church thing together, like in West Fort Worth, like in 2015. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you,
he doesn't remember.
I remember.
Okay. Let me tell you,
I remember.
This guy up on stage is he's got a speaking charisma about him. He's you've got an energy about you.
Well,
I think it's downplayed now that you're back on the sideline a little bit, but I think you had the chops.
Well, I like talking about things that excite me.
Yeah.
And about three things in my life excite me. Football, Jesus, and my family. So
yeah,
I like talking about those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was impressive.
Well, when you walked up and we were talking trial and error, that does make me think just about the Twitter world and everybody reporting on practice and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
It feels to me like this is bad because this is where you're trying to work something out. You're trying something. This is where you learn. It'd be like us watching you lift weights every day and be like, oh, that's all? Or I don't know.
Right. Definitely. And that's what we have. We have those conversations in our quarterback room. And, you got to go out here and you're working on your craft and you have to figure out just like a golfer or anything else. And you think about golfers, a lot of times they go out and put themselves in the worst situations when they're practicing. Like, you ever wonder how the guy how did he get the ball out of the bunker when he's got one knee on the ground?
Yeah.
He's down on the shaft,
Right.
And
he's actually
practiced that.
And
right?
Probably would have a pretty bad score if you were to report later. After that
If you're he was trying all these shots and he shanked 7 of them,
right.
But that's what we do out here. And you got to cut out that noise, and great thing is these guys are, first of all, they're well prepared by our PR staff to handle things like that, but to not listen to that stuff. And we talk about it in our quarterback room and Jason's tremendous, I think the play that Jason got the most excited about yesterday was an incomplete pass. And, because we went to the right place with the ball and the turf just kind of gave way and the receiver slipped. And he was super excited about making that throw and trying that throw because he's concerned with the process. And so many times you can get focused on the outcome. And what you want to do is make sure that you're going through the right process all the time. And that's what we talk about in our room.
Okay. So this is, it's great to visit with you about this topic because you are a longtime professional quarterback who now has crossed over to where your knowledge is valuable to young quarterbacks who have not gone on that journey yet. Mm-hmm. And one thing I've really enjoyed hearing from you, I believe it was a clinic that you even did in Waxahachie, though, where it got put on YouTube and passed around quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And it was just the idea of whether safe is death, whether taking a profit is always, and you mentioned your experience with Mike Martz.
Yeah.
And how that kind of opened your eyes on what the point of quarterback play sometimes should be, and it's not always protective and safe, and sometimes it's a lit at rip. Could you elaborate on that just a little bit for people that haven't seen that, and or really what you believe right now, anyway?
Yeah, no, and I think it's not necessarily what I believe. I think it's the philosophy of our organization, our head coach, and then our offense coordinator, and fortunately, it matches my philosophy as well, which is you can't play this game scared. You can't play it timid. When things are open, they're only going to be open for a second. And if you're not ready, and you weren't expecting that, it's too late. It's too late in this league. And so we likened it to a home run hitter. And, we went back to and talked about Barry Bonds in 2001 when he hit 73 home runs, and he had 177 walks that year.
Right.
I mean, he got one pitch a game to hit, but he hit it, and he usually hit it out of the park, and that's we had to have that mindset of being aggressive but not being indiscriminate is what we the term that we use, and the great thing about our football team is we're gonna get lots of opportunities for those things because we have talent on a roster, and so you're going to get lots of those opportunities, and the great thing is Dak has been very, very trustworthy with the football throughout his first 3 years in his career, and so I think an aggressive mind. That's again Mike Martz told me in my first practice with him. He said, "I won't coach caution, so if you're going to be cautious, let me know because we're going to get a different guy." And again, it's not indiscriminate,
right?
And but it's aggressively taking what the defense is allowing you to have.
Okay, so that's a huge talking point that I think gets lost in the fantasy football world that we live in now. Is a quarterback's job is winning football and not throwing your team out of games and not making that a horrible mistake, but still, what you just said. But it's not raw numbers. It's efficiency. It's winning football. It's taking those chances when they are available and cashing them in. As you said, I think Dak really does that very, very well through his first 3 years. He doesn't throw dumb passes very often. That's not always something that you would say about a young quarterback, is it?
No, not at all. And I think it speaks to his maturity as a person. A lot of times we talk about a maturity as a player, but you talk about his maturity as a person, and the fact that he is trustworthy and somebody that the coordinator knows. Look, I can call this play, and if we don't get what we're looking for, he's going to check it down or he's going to get rid of the football or whatever. And we were excited yesterday, and first day in team or in pads, and there was 3 instances where things kind of broke down, and he avoided a bad play, whether it was just checking the ball down or getting the ball out faster than what the normal timing is, or just throwing the football away. And when you play quarterback that way, it builds great trust between the coordinator and the play caller and the quarterback, and that's really what you want. But the great thing is he can make every single throw on the football field, and so when we get chances for big plays, he's going to hit them.
This is Jon Kitna, QB coach of the Cowboys, and it is brought to you by Markham Fine Jewelers. So see how I did that? Just so conversationally, strong. You didn't even know I worked that in.
Professional.
So those two things you just talked about seem to be at odds with each other, though. Dak is a very, careful quarterback, I guess. It almost seems like you're saying you got to get in and be aggressive. There seems to be a fine line, though.
No. That's the position of the quarterback in the NFL.
Because can you be too? You obviously say you could be too safe. But
I think that you never operate in a vacuum. There's never just like, oh, we just ran a play. There's always time in the game, what the game plan called for, what you studied that week, what you saw on film, the momentum of the game, where you're at, all of those things matter. And so, it's too simplistic to say, oh, you have to be one or the other. I think that's too simplistic. It's playing the game the right way. As a professional quarterback, if you're not aggressive, things will pass you by fast if you don't have an aggressive mindset. But again, you can't be indiscriminate. I keep using that word. And so the better your football team is, then the less chances you have to take for sure. When you know that your defense is, if you have to punt the ball, you're going to get the ball back and maybe in better field position. Sometimes punting's not a bad deal. And but I don't think they're either or. I think they're both and.
So the same throw on 1st and 10 versus 3rd and 12. On 1st and 10, maybe that's a little too risky. But on 3rd and 12, it's just I suppose.
Yeah. I think we're trying to make it too simple.
Okay.
Right. I think it's, hey, we want to have an aggressive mindset.
Yeah.
On every play that we call.
Okay.
And if we didn't want you to have an aggressive mindset, we wouldn't call that play.
Fair.
Okay, we want you to have an aggressive mindset, but you have to take what the NFL defenses are going to dictate a lot of times where the football is going to go, and we just want you to aggressively take what they're giving you.
Okay.
And hopefully we've done our homework and things like that as a staff, and putting the players in position to be really successful and taking advantage of a defense and knowing the defense's tendencies and what kind of answers we're going to provide for them throughout the system.
This is Jon Kitna with us. I don't mean to be presumptuous here, but I assume one of the first things you did when you took this job is you grabbed a reel of 2018 and tried to see what you were working with and tried to see what you needed to catch up on. Once you did that, and as you sit here today, is the 2019 general vision entering camp of the offense similar or different than what was out there in 2018 for the observers at least? How different will it be?
Well, I mean, I think that remains to be seen.
Okay.
It's a long time until September 8th, I believe, is the date of our first game. It's a long time till then. So
would you describe it as a tweaking or an overhaul of the general premise of the offense, or is that too much information?
I would describe it as a maturing offense.
Okay.
A lot of the same parts are back, and the receiving core is pretty much intact, aside from Cole, and so they've had a chance to work together now. And Jason coming back adds a lot to that. We had good young tight ends behind him that have had a chance to mature. It's still a young football team in the skill position area. Well, you wouldn't expect your 3-year-old to be the same place at 4 that he was at 3. And I think that's the same thing, right?
Okay,
but he's still the same person.
Right.
A lot of the same things, but he's maturing, and I think that's what our offense will be. It's a maturing offense.
Okay.
How are you getting along with Kellen Moore? What's he like?
Guy. I love him. Northwest guys, he's freaking brilliant. He's freaking brilliant. It's very challenging for me. I love it. I love being around him. He can see things at a really high rate. When you're a coordinator, head coach in this league, it requires you to see everything at one time, and he does a great job of that. Good job with organization, details, great communicator in front of the team, understands relationships matter. So love working with him and for him.
Did you have any overlap with him? No, you didn't. Did
no,
you?
Sir.
Okay.
He came to Detroit right after I was there. We had met a few times, but no.
Yeah, and even here, you came back in 13. He didn't get here till 14, I don't believe.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was your experience like coaching high school football?
Loved it. It's people talk about all the time the parents. I love the parents. I love the kids. It was a great time. Unfortunately, in high school football, sometimes it's just there can be some times that it's not necessarily about the kids, and that was disappointing from time to time. But I loved coaching high school football. I love it. Still in touch with so many of my players, and it was a great experience for me.
I'm reading this really good book that he turned me on to about coaching, and I'm wondering if before getting into coaching, you've done anything like that. It's this Bill Walsh book. Are you familiar with?
Yeah, I read it this offseason.
Oh, okay. The one you can't find. It's
that winning edge,
$150 or a couple $100 to find it on eBay because it's out of print. It seems fascinating.
Yeah. I read a couple different books. One of the great ones by Season of Life, story of kind of following Joe Ehrman, who's been a high school coach for a long time and a great mentor to young men, and understands coaching from within. And so read a ton of books on coaching.
How much of your job is between the ears? Well, I mean, it's all between the ears, X's and O's, looking at film and all that, but I'm almost talking about where we started here with the blocking out the noise, the mentality, the confidence, just all of the mental gymnastics a quarterback has to go through, especially in this franchise and in this market. It's I would imagine in some ways you are a caddy to a professional golfer, and little what would Razor call them? Little brain nuggets or whatever, just along the way, could actually do as much good as an hour looking at film.
No doubt.
Is there something to that?
Your question was, how much is it, mental?
Yeah.
It's 100% mental, even when we're doing something physical, because if I'm giving you something to do physically and I don't tie it to, and I don't teach you the why we're doing it, then there's no point in doing it.
Okay.
If the quarterback doesn't understand this drill correlates to this or whatever it may be, then it's a waste of his time. And so it's 100% mental, and this game is, a highly mental game.
Yeah.
Played by very physical young men.
No doubt.
And so, but yeah, this, a lot of those little nuggets and things like that, and helping guys understand defenses and how to see things. And so I feel, it's all of that. It's all those things. It's all inclusive for me as a quarterback coach and for all of us as coaches, honestly.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate your time. Wondering if you would give us one of these.
All right.
On your way out. That is, do I even have to explain it?
This is blank, and I never listened to Bob and Dan show on sports radio. 1310 The Ticket.
Yeah, you do have
Did
to
I read that right?
Maybe I do have to explain it.
Almost. There's just one step.
This is Jon Kitna, and I never listened to these yahoos, Bob and Dan, on sports radio 1310 The Ticket.
Beautiful.
XL?
Thanks,
Double
Coach.
X? What do you want?
Depends what day it is. I'll take the XL.
You want an XL? Here you go. There you go.
Thanks, Coach. There he goes.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks for your time.
Great, Jon Kitna. Off he goes to the next appointment, which I believe is a morning practice or lunchtime practice. Oh, there it is. It's just getting started out there.
And thank you to Markham Fine Jewelers for bringing us.
Yes.
You know what, Jake? I agree with you on that point. That's a well-oiled machine doing radio.
And Jake just said that so conversationally. I didn't realize he slipped in Markham Fine Jewelers as a sponsor.
Just off the top of his head. It's beautiful. All right, well, there you go. It's 12:25. It's Sports Radio 13.
So that wasn't the open. That wasn't our show, right?
We start the show next. The tickets.
Previously on BaD Radio.
I guess what I'm saying is, Scott, I see the plays.
Yeah.
You do see the linebackers move, and so I get that teams are running the clock out, although the Cowboys have a horrible 4-minute drill. I think Romo as a passer is way, way better when they're close to balanced as opposed to just doing their shotgun bit like he's Drew Brees, because he's not Drew Brees when they decide to spread you out and attempt to beat you that way.
All right.
So that's what I have on that. Scott Kazmar here on Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket. So,
guys, let's go to Kevin, I believe, in New Jersey. Kevin, what's your question for OJ?
Way to go.
Kevin, what's your question for OJ?
Hi, good show, dude. My kid Chris was wondering, do you think it was a bigger feat to break 2,000 yards in one season or slice two necks?
Today is Bill Walsh Death Day.
I'm having a little trouble, Kevin, hearing you.
All right, Alex is listening to us in Ohio. Hey, Alex.
Yes.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, how you doing?
Not
Juice?
bad.
Juice, can you hear me, Juice?
Yes, I can hear you, buddy.
Yeah. Remember when you played for the 49ers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you kill Bill Walsh?
Do you get a kick out of the fact, still after all these years, that somebody like Kim Kardashian's in the stadium watching your football team practice?
Well, I do. I did run into them, her, Miles, Tony. They had a little break today, and the starters didn't have to practice this morning, so I ran into them having lunch and almost swallowed my sandwich. But other than no, it's good to have her here.
You ever watched her show?
No.
I have, and it's great to have her here.
Well, Des,
we should let him go.
great to see you again, brother.
Nice seeing y'all. Thank y'all for having me.
Would
again.
you?
Right.
We can dump it. Would you want to repeat your quote to Rich right now? You can do it live. What did you say last year?
Fix this, Rich. Fix it.
Wow. Awesome.
Thanks, dude.
That is great. Love it.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Well, and we're bringing Kennard in Saturday, and he'll get in good shape, and he'll be a very good, legitimate. Tell me this. Who else is playing pretty good?
You're listening to no, that's not. See, I did it wrong already. My name is Martin Starr, and you're listening. And guys, the pressure is immense.
See, this is what you get with the improv background.
Yeah. This is. Well, I'm just giving.
He doesn't take direct directions.
My name is Martin Starr, and I never listen to Bob and Dan on the Ticket, but you should.
Maybe I need to become Italian music expert guy. Right about now, Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket presents the Bob and Dan Radio Show.
Hold on, boys.
Good.
Hold on, boys.
Good. Today, it's taken way too long, but even Jerry now knows that running backs don't really matter. Would Bob Lilly be mad watching Cam and Kuechly FaceTime with Josh Norman on game week? And just remember, at least this year, we're not talking about the anthem. Also, what does it mind? Julie Dobb, Jacob Kemp, and R.A.P. Donovan announcer, guys. We're hoping Zeke's trek back to Cabo means we'll finally be able to wrap up his highly anticipated documentary. It's Bob Sturman, damn it out.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's Tuesday, July 30th, 2019. It's the Bob and Dan Radio Show live today. Not in our studio, but at camp.
No. Yes.
Show number 2 of a scheduled 10 shows for Dallas Cowboys Training Camp 2019 from Oxnard, California. Lenard, I believe. Norm tried to get it to stick at one point.
Foxnard.
It is episode 4,944. Shut it. If you've missed the start of the show, you missed Jon Kitna. I'm sorry about that. It was awesome.
Let's replay it now.
Dan was particularly on point.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know we don't usually make our guests mad and throw the headphones down, but that happens occasionally.
You had him on the run.
Hope you didn't miss it.
Had him on the run.
That's not the only guest we'll have today.
No. Football friend Ted Nguyen will join us at 1:10. Looking forward to that. He wrote a great piece about the game of football that we love so much. We'll get into that NFL today in short order.
We want to have another guest. I do want to note that I want to pre-do a segment. We're going to talk about this more later in the future. But we were out last night with the whole ticket crew, including the very underrated Tony. I'm a little tired about how Corby and Gordo and everybody's treating Tony. Great engineer and an even better man, Bob. That's really what matters to me.
He's a good dude.
He's a great dude. Probably the nicest guy you'll ever meet.
He's almost such a great dude that is why he is targeted for ridicule at ticket
He's
dinners.
so nice, he makes you mad. Like you're upset that a human can be this nice. So you know there's something boiling beneath the surface there. But we'll get to that later. But the thing we're going to get to later, I just want to lay it out there now and let everybody know this exists.
Okay.
Tony revealed he was so upset. He's been so upset for the past couple of years that we didn't even know it. But he wrote a letter to Dancing with the Stars detailing
To Nancy.
his problems with Dancing with the Stars. And we will be reading that on the show in the future. And Tony, you're going to give it to us, right? If indeed you have a copy. Who supported you more than this show?
It's back at home.
Hey, Tony.
I'm not saying now.
Tony, could you?
I'm pre-doing the segment.
Could you join us on the air, Tony?
Who supported you more than this side of the table on our show? Throw your mic on. Don't listen to him.
Well, that's obvious.
On the whole ticket, who supported you more than me?
Boy, I tell you, you're number one right now.
All right, and I will continue to be.
Top three?
So do not... My request for my best engineer friend, don't let any of the other shows have that before we do.
I doubt if anybody else is going to want it, so you're probably safe.
Well, once word
just the
gets
answer's
out.
just okay. Just
Okay.
say okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't very definitive, was it?
Yeah, I just want to that assured. I know you don't have it here. I know it's at home, but I wanted to let Jake know. I think this is important information for everybody to know that this letter exists. Like for all those people who complain, say, I'm going to write a letter to the UIL. They never really do. He wrote a letter, like typed it, envelope, mailed it to Dancing with the Stars, wanting answers and offering solutions, right?
Oh, of course.
It's not like you just complained and then walked away. You said, I've got solutions for you, and I need to know what they are.
But I'll tell you right now, Dan, this won't be good radio. It's just a letter.
Do you think over the years, I might...
How did you write the
letter?
letter?
Hold on, turn on Catch.
How'd you write?
I can't hear Catch.
It's on. I thought it was. Oh, Beach doing on a different one.
You're telling me what's good radio?
Maybe just let the guys on the air worry about what's good radio.
Yeah, just hand me the letter, and then if I determine it's not good. Now, do I have to have Killer read it to make it good? Maybe. Do I have to have Alice from...
That's called the drop third strike.
Can I just ask?
Alice from Maple Deli?
Can I just ask, did you handwrite this letter? Like on a parchment?
No, I put it on a
crayon.
computer.
Oh, on a computer. Okay, so
Yeah.
you might have access to it on location. You think?
No, it's
Okay.
on my home computer as a Word document. So
okay, all right.
You didn't bring your laptop?
Just throwing it out there.
No.
All right.
Huh. How do you get porn, bro?
So here we go.
Okay, yeah. Now we want to have the guest. Are you authorizing this? We're going to make a call on the air.
Bino?
And what we want to do...
Will you be nice? Will you be cool?
Today is the birthday of Bob's mom.
Yeah. We call her every year on her
Without
birthday.
her... Yeah, this is a 20-year tradition. Without her... I'm just sitting here talking to Tony and Kat. Right?
Wow. Now that you put it that way.
So, all right, let's dial it up. Let's call Bob's mom. It is her birthday. It's very exciting. And we did have the option. Should we call on Why Did and Suck with the hard line? Or should we call in the opening segment
I'm not
of
sure
the show?
she's ready for line 4, guy. Yeah.
And, we decided, Bob decided, really. I had very little to do with deciding, but I'm just happy we're going to talk to Bob's mom if they answer. Now, is this a home phone?
I think so, yeah.
Do they screen every call?
Yes.
if they see a Dallas number that they're not sure, they might think you're in trouble.
I think they screen it without.
727.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Try to get back to you. Goodbye.
Hey, Mom. Mom Sturm.
Pick up, please.
Doodlebug.
I'm in trouble.
Hello, Mom. Are you there? Mom? Okay, now they might actually not be home. You want to try the other number, Jake?
Sure.
Okay.
We have a cell phone?
Yeah, let's try the other number.
Maybe her cell phone is.
Does she have OnStar?
She does not have OnStar, no. And let's
Where might they be on her birthday? Probably out to dinner now, right?
maybe possibly at
they're 80.
Maybe at the Red Lobster or something. I don't know.
Get that early. You get in there before 5, you get the discount.
Let's see if we can reach her on her very high-tech cell phone.
Flip?
Absolutely.
Oh, really? She doesn't have iPhone yet?
No. And by yet, you mean ever?
My mom won't accept it. I'm like, I'll give you my old phone. She's like, nah. I see my friend using hers, and it's too confusing.
All right, pull down
Pull down for a second. Well, this is sad.
Should we leave her a message at least?
Yeah.
At the tone,
And
please record your message. When you have finished
constitute
recording,
a
you
birthday
may
phone
hang
call?
up or
Yeah, you don't have to
press
call her
1 for
later.
more
You can golf.
options.
Hey, Mom. It's the Bob and Dan radio show.
Hi, Darlene.
I'm Bob.
Grandma. I'm Dan.
And
happy birthday.
Wishing you a very, very happy birthday. I will call you off the air, but we're very disappointed we can't talk to you about the current events in Wisconsin, whatever's going on up there, whether the summer's hot, whether the Packers look good in training camp, and just all of these things. But
I miss you.
Maybe we'll try again in 2020.
I love you.
Love you.
Tell her I love you. Not
Dan,
love you.
Dan loves you.
You have to say I love you, or else it doesn't mean much.
Mother, I love you. And I'll call you later. Happy birthday.
Obviously.
Hold on, Junior. All right, we'll talk to you soon, Mom. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
hang up.
that's
Hang
kind
up
of a
and now
bummer.
tell the truth.
See, in radio, you want to.
Sometimes you got to take a risk. All right, Tony, get that letter.
You just want to. You want to improv, and you want to not tee everything up. But maybe I should have teed her up there. Maybe I should have.
Can we announce what year she was born?
She probably doesn't want everyone to know her age. Okay, I won't tell you.
Let's just say
I won't tell you her age. She was born in 1950. I don't want to tell you her age.
Nice. So you got to figure out, subtract, take 2019 minus.
Yeah, people know how to figure out someone's age. You don't.
And then what do you get?
PEMDAS.
You get a nice birthday.
Foil.
So I hope she's having a wonderful, wonderful birthday.
That's why we called her.
Sweet Doodlebug. We call her every year, Dan, on her birthday.
Especially this year. I had this in my phone for the last 7 years. Like
it is not on the calendar.
Call Doodlebug on this very day. All right, so let's start the show.
All right.
We didn't get Doodlebug on the air.
2 segments in. Now we're going to start the show.
Once again, Jake has failed in booking a guest.
Jake.
And we will have Ted Nguyen to try to, that'll be just as good.
Maybe it's his birthday.
We'll ask him how old you are if you were born in 1950. But up next, let's talk about Ted Nguyen's article. It relates to Zeke, the Cowboys, the running back position. It's very sportsy, and we'll do that from training camp next on the ticket.
pull it up on YouTube to verify, so you don't have to worry. But it should be down. I mean, it's down. I checked it last break, and when it didn't break, you couldn't hear it, so I left it up. And then when they came on and turned it up, I heard it. So I'm sure it's working. Going to Cowboys. So what? He could go from Cabo to Oxnard and plus 3 hours. No, it's not. It's just the Cowboys. Why are you offended by it? The Cowboys, Cabo. Where's Nathan? Oh, okay. That's fine. Great. Awesome. So you would say this is. He also rented the White House. Would it be? Oh, would it be the 6 o'clock news? I just think it was that big a deal. Oh, yeah. I saw it right away. Huge story. Market. They have a you know? Yeah. He said he was going to Florida. It's a big story because
HSOs and bits with players every day live from training camp in Oxnard. Brought to you by Metter Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, North Texas Tollway Authority, and Sports Radio 1310 and 96.7 FM The Tick.
Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way, yeah.
Log on to theticket.com's contest page and register to win round-trip transportation to Houston or Austin on Corby's favorite mode of transportation, a Von Lane luxury motor coach. Arrive minutes before departure, get assigned seats with tons of legroom, a huge list of complimentary amenities, and convenient arrival right in downtown Austin or Houston. All right, this is the Bob and Dan radio program. We are pumping some bass out here at Cowboys camp.
This must be what the hardline deals with during practice, because it gets loud out there on the field during practice.
Bill Parcells must be rolling over in his grave.
Well, he's alive, Dan.
If he would hear what is going on at this Cowboys practice, because we have seen Bill Parcells get angry, yell at the guy who is playing music and say, "Who authorized this?" And the guy would point to Jerry Jones. Music. And he would tell him to cut that back a little bit, because we are not having music like this at practice. But
Coach K, Double K would be fine with it. He'd say it's not loud enough and lead a dance-off out in Arizona.
Let's get it turned up.
Oh, Double K. I was like, Coach K would really okay.
Coach Cliff.
And then they would say, well, let's take a break and let's all look at our phones for a few minutes.
I think he challenged the entire team
that out of your system.
to a dance-off and beat every last one of them. So it's a different game now, Dan.
All right, so Zeke is a huge topic. We're talking about it off the air. We're talking about it on the air. We're debating whether or not optics matter, as the story that came out yesterday was that Zeke was caught on a flight to Cabo, that he's going to be working out, staying in shape in Cabo. And on the one hand, you can say, you could have weights anywhere and work out anywhere. All right. Not Cabo, bro. Not for this fan base. Not to the scene of Tony Romo and Bobby Carpenter. And
so if he went to Tulum, you wouldn't have any problem with us?
I don't even know what that is. So, yeah. Like if you just said almost any, I don't know. Does it have to be a resort getaway place? Shouldn't it? Don't you want to hear he's
It's where he went for his suspension. We knew where he was going, right?
We didn't like it. I don't like this either. Not Cabo. Of all places, all bad things happen after a cowboy goes to Cabo. I
think you're giving Cabo a bad name.
But it's there already. Do you disagree with me, Jake? Mr.
No,
Cowboy?
I don't disagree. I don't think it matters, but like a lot of things Cowboys related, it's just that I don't want to hear about it.
But of all places, not Cabo.
I mean, I think it's that his agent has a place there, to be honest. Okay. I mean, if he's here, he's getting a photo taken of him every single time he tries to go get a crab Benedict.
Yeah.
So I don't think it matters
just
at all.
Say anything.
But I also don't think that the penis squirt gun matters. I just don't want to hear about it.
Well,
like most things Cowboys, I just want to kind of like the team and not have to constantly turn on the television and see, does it matter? He's in Cabo. Remember Romo?
Of the non-7-foot athletes in our world, or let's maybe cut it off at LeBron's height. So of the guys not 6'8" or taller, Zeke sticks out like very few humans. Like there aren't that many fake Zekes running around. Like if you think you saw Zeke, you probably saw him, because between the hair and the body shape and just everything, he's rather distinctive, I would say. So I don't know that he's sneaking anywhere, but yeah, it's pretty obvious where he is, and it's also pretty obvious that that's where we are today with the Cowboys holdout. We'll do more on that later, but let's
should have gone to Siberia.
Let's keep you know
there
what?
You go. Or
work out in the barn like Rocky.
Yeah, where Rocky went.
Yeah. Maybe throw some logs. Okay, so what we wanted to do here in the next segment basically is talk to the author of a great piece that recently appeared in The Athletic. It is Teams Don't Have to Establish the Run to Win Games, and the analytics prove it, but the run isn't dead either, which is a real wordy headline, but it's a very awesome story that I would argue doesn't really have an agenda. But I guess even that can be an argument, because I think Jake and I had that very argument. I think Jake suggests there's an agenda here. I thought it was rather even-handed, Jake, that tried to present two sides. But maybe even describing myself as an analytics centrist is offensive to both sides. Like if you say, hey, I really like analytics, but I also don't think football coaches are morons as a general term, I think you're in the middle, because I think you either have to think the nerds are morons or the coaches are morons, but I really think neither are, and we can try to find the truth somewhere in the middle, and I think that's what this piece is efforting to do. And maybe over the next 30 minutes, we can all say our piece and have a discussion about this, including the very author, but it's really trying to get to the middle of what I think, Dan, is the new raging sports debate, and that is, do running backs matter? Does the run game matter? And I think the answer is yes, sort of.
Well,
and I think this piece tries to explain why it appears the run game doesn't matter at all, and then tries to walk it back a little bit with some yeah buts. And I think it's a real complete piece that gives you a lot to think about, which is, I suppose, the whole point of reading things, to try to make yourself smarter.
Yeah, it's giving me deep thoughts, and it's talking about just how prevalent the passing game is compared to years past, of course. And it kind of even pointed to the Cowboys-Seahawks playoff game, where the Seahawks kind of kept pounding the ball. And then afterwards, you're like, wow, okay, Mino, was that a good idea? They were averaging like 2.5 yards a carry on the ground. They're averaging 8.5 per pass.
Yeah.
Why would they keep running the ball? And to me, I wonder if we're like still in a transition period in NFL history, like between 5 years ago and where we are in the NBA now with three-pointers. Like, are we still transitioning to like just almost always passing the ball?
Okay, and can I jump in on both those points?
Yeah.
I would argue the NBA and the NFL does not arrive at a destination. The evolution will never end.
Well, and I think
we can't see where the NBA will go from here.
Like, will it contract a bit?
But whether it's a rule change or whether it's a coaching innovation of some sort that we haven't even thought about, the NBA has not reached its destination, and now they will not change form for the next 20 years. That will not happen. It simply will not. And the same is true with the NFL and the running game and passing game. To explain this a little, go on.
But I just want to say, like, so a big man is devalued and stuff, but would you say, do I still want DeMarcus Cousins? Yeah, maybe at the right price. It's kind of the same as
Anthony Davis might be a good question.
Yeah, like Zeke. There's obviously a place for a guy like that. You can't just say he'll never.
Not at all.
Eventually, Zeke will not belong in the NFL. There's no way.
Zeke is a special football player. There will always be a home for him. The question comes.
So it's obviously not as a wide receiver, but it's
at what price?
Yeah. And same thing with the big man in the NBA or whatever it is. And,
Correct.
And certain teams might be able to win with different styles because you have to play to, what you have. You can't.
Well, I
so
think,
if you have Dak and Zeke, you're not playing like if you have Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees, right?
Yeah, and I think what this piece attempts to do, and by the way, he uses a lot of previously written pieces to build his overall premise, and so he didn't do all this original research, but that doesn't necessarily matter because the research has been done and vetted and double checked and so forth, and what do you call it? Critical,
peer reviewed,
critical and peer reviewed. Yes, that's right. So the idea is the pass is more efficient than the run. So to score more points, you should pass more often, and you should pass just about at every opportunity more than you currently are.
And that's my thought of. You've heard that in the past about 3-pointers, though.
Yes.
yet you never really started to use it for decades almost. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, you're going against,
and the same thing has been true. The pass has been more efficient than the run, right?
Well, what
for a long time.
Yes, but what technology has allowed us to do is to try to answer questions that we either assumed the exact opposite or we assumed that this is probably true, but we can't prove. And now player tracking and player data and certain things, analytics, I suppose, is the quick way, have told us, yes, in fact, we can prove using similar down and distance, similar situations over, I don't know, Jake, 100,000 plays over the course of several decades. We can now say that this is a more efficient way to do this than it was. Now, there are, I don't want to start with the yeah buts, but my one thing about that would be a lot of it is based in the game of football on the premise that it's a terminology may be difficult for me, but it's not completely in the hands of the offense. A lot of what you do is this symbiotic sort of, the offense does this, then the defense does this, and this allows for beneficial ways to attack. If the defense reacted in a different way, those same ways to attack would not be as useful. That's why I don't think this is a destination, Dan, to more passing. I think this is a journey that may never end. Because I think the more teams do follow this research and do pass more, then the defenses react to passing way more, and you'll find that the market inefficiency, oh, there he is. Jason Witten knows where the tent is. Very nice. The more teams now switch to dime defense all the time, for instance, maybe linebackers become eradicated, and instead of seeing a 4-3, you see a 4-1 defense with 6 DBs because everybody's passing so much. Well, then what becomes the market inefficiency? Teams can't stop the run anymore, and you will see the expected points of running plays now shoot up, and I'm not saying ever equal the passing game, but it will come way closer than it does now, because now, as we sit here, teams still believe that stopping the run on early downs is the best way to play defense to get you into 3rd and long, right?
Yeah.
So, but because that's the way defenses think, because offenses haven't changed enough, but this will continue to move, and the defenses are not filled with morons either. They move with it and say, okay, this is where the game's going. Now, how do we best stop them? And the answer won't always be, we just need to keep passing more into these passing teeth. But the answer right now is, we definitely need to pass more than we have been.
So it is keep passing into these teeth, because these teeth aren't sharp enough yet.
These teeth have not reacted far enough in the other direction. They still are putting 3 linebackers on the field on 1st down. Why are they doing this? They're dummies.
Yeah.
We have a way of taking advantage of this, and therefore you see Andy Reid and Bill Belichick and these guys fully taking advantage of that on every Sunday.
I thought it's interesting, too, and I guess we'll throw this at Ted Nguyen when we talk to him in a minute, but you used to just think, well, there are reasons not to pass, the 3 bad things that can happen or whatever, and less bad things can happen. Certainly that's a risk-averse mindset. But also, it's interesting, as you pass more, and this is also, I think, analogous with the 3-pointer, we're getting better at it, though. Yeah. So it's not like you used
more
to say,
efficient.
Right.
Yeah, the efficiency, the completion percentage.
Correct.
You're actually throwing less interceptions per touchdowns.
That's right.
Like, whereas you might have argued in the past, well, that look at all these bad things. Well, as you do it more, maybe it's because you get better at it,
right?
And you're able to. Same thing with the 3-pointer. The percentage of 3-pointers made used to be a lot lower, right?
Well, for years,
the rule changes have a lot to do with both. If
Correct.
you can drive right to the heart of a defense, it's going to be easier to find a guy to hit an open 3 when you kick it. If I can run right down the middle of the field and know that you can't decleat me, then throw it up and I'll go get it. I mean,
100%.
It's open for business now.
I mean, even in the 90s.
So it's just logical to follow.
Even in the 90s with Aikman, there would be times where there'd only be 2 receivers en route. And we thought the best way to pass protect was to have more guys pass protecting. Then somebody said, well, wait a minute. Maybe the best way to pass protect is to throw everybody out en route, and somebody's going to get open before you can get to our quarterback, and that is called the evolution of the sport. All right, so enough from us. Let's talk to the author of this piece. The great Ted Nguyen will join us next on The Ticket.
This is Sports Radio 13. 7 FM, The Tick.
All right, it's 1:15. It is the Bob and Dan radio show live from Oxnard, where the Cowboys are currently practicing. And on our phone lines right now is the author of the piece we've been discussing. The teams don't have to establish the run to win games piece from late last week in The Athletic. He is the great Ted Nguyen. Ted, how are you today, sir?
Doing a lot better after that introduction.
Well, now that you and I have actually had a chance to shake hands and be more than just Twitter buddies, I ran into Ted at the LA Coliseum during the playoffs, during the final few minutes of the Rams-Cowboys playoff game. So now we are officially real human friends, and that's exciting. So thanks for hopping on the show, man.
No problem. I think we met right before the Jared Goff run that sealed the game, unfortunately.
I think we were both wondering, was Jeff Heath going to bite on that? And sure enough, he did. Okay, so let's get into this awesome piece you did because it's a interesting one. And I think you are, like me, a bit of an analytics centrist in that I don't want to speak for you, though. I always position myself as, hey, I love what I can learn in any form. I love the numbers. I read all of them. But I also love the film, and I love to combine the two, and I don't think football coaches are morons, and therefore allow me to say, man, I think the sport is changing. I just don't know to what level and where it's going to go next and so forth. So I thought your piece was well written in that term. If that was your goal, I think you accomplished a lot. But for those who haven't read it, please give us your premise, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so basically what I did was there's a big ongoing debate that's been going on for a while on Twitter at very least about the value of the run game. A lot of the analytics guys that are on Twitter are very animate about their work and research that says the run game doesn't matter. It's just very inefficient when it comes to compared to the passing game. And, I think they're a little bit more black and white on Twitter, but when you talk to them, there's a little more nuance to their actual argument about it. So I basically gathered a bunch of their research and I put it in layman's terms because I'm layman myself. So, I had to talk to them over time to really try to simplify things because sometimes when I read their article, I think it's really interesting, but there's just a bunch of math stuff I don't understand. So I wanted to make it a little more understandable for people. I summarized basically what their research said, why they believe that the pass game is way more effective than the run game, talked a little bit about running back value. And then I got the coaches side of things where I was able to talk to a bunch of coaches, players about why they feel like the run game is still valuable. And I just wanted to put those two arguments side by side for people to read and judge. I wasn't trying to argue particularly for one side or the other. I just wanted to lay out the entire argument and kind of move the discussion forward a little bit.
And what do you come up with, as a thought, for instance, okay, we're handing the ball off. I know it was just a 2-yard run up the middle. But you know what? That's in their mind now, that we would hand the ball off there. Does that set up something later that in play action it holds the linebacker for a second or whatnot? Is that an argument on one side as to why I run the ball up the middle there?
Yes. So there is a lot of research and is being accepted now by coaches that show that you don't have to establish the run for play action to be effective. So you don't have to run the ball 15 times for a defense to bite on your play action, but there's also because linebackers are so trained to fill their gap that if you're showing play action, they're going to bite. But talking with the coaches and players, they believe that play action still works, but they believe that when you run the ball with some effectiveness, they bite harder on the play action because if you're ripping off 5-6 yard gain, and Kirk Morrison, former linebacker, said this, they're going to try to, it's an automatic human reaction to try to fill that gap a little faster. And secondly, when you're running the ball, you're making defensive linemen respect the run. They have to fill their gaps and they can't rush upfield. So you're making them defend the run and rushing passer. But if you abandon the run, then they're just rushing upfield the entire time. That can be very hard on offensive linemen.
So they believe that they bite harder. Does the analytics support that?
So far, there has not been analytics that support that. But I think that if we looked a little further and researched a little further, I think we'll find something there. But so far, we have not yet.
Yeah, I suppose you could measure false steps. It would be difficult to measure what's going on between the ears with your reading your keys and so forth. And that's, I guess, where it gets really complex. And we try to make the sport simplistic, but it's a very difficult thing where everything is so connected. This is Ted Nguyen, who's just authored this fine piece we've been discussing here on the Ticket, and providing great football analysis on Twitter. In fact, I believe his your Twitter handle is what? The underscore confuses me. What is it for everyone that wants to follow you?
It's FB_film analysis, and FB stands for football, not Facebook. So FB_film analysis.
Okay, perfect. So we were just talking about this in the last segment, and I'm really interested in the idea that I think we like to paint things in where we are now and where we used to be in football. But I think the defense will have a big handle in this as we continue to evolve. I think the fact that the Final Four teams in the NFL were also the top 4 high-scoring teams, and they were all very, very pass-centric and so forth, and varying degrees of how much resource they put into running back and all that. I do think now the smart defenses are going to be gearing up for them, and therefore the chess game will continue to a point where it might turn on its ear 5 years from now, where we do come back to saying there's great efficiency value in the run, and why did everybody walk away from the running game ultimately? I think that's how the game works, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that we didn't discuss yet is personnel, right? Like,
yes,
it's hard finding great quarterbacks. And the teams that have great quarterbacks, they'll pass a lot because they want the ball in their best players' hands. But we all know that it's hard to find 32 starting caliber quarterbacks, and it's hard finding great pass blocking tackles too. So that's another thing the run game does, is that it protects your offensive linemen from having to pass block, 50 snaps a game or whatever. And if teams are starting to, if defenses are starting to play a lot lighter, finding a lot lighter defensive linemen, lighter linebackers, then offenses might turn around and start going heavy. We saw a little bit of that in the playoffs, and the Patriots, took a philosophical change and started running the ball a lot. And, it worked against the Chargers, who basically their base defense was a dime defense, and it worked against the Ravens because of certain things. But then, the Patriots came out and just ran the ball straight down their throat, and they couldn't stop it.
Yeah, so boy, there's a lot here. There's a lot to consider as we talk this out, and just as we sit here as a show that talks constantly about the Cowboys. I almost feel like we're darn near ground zero in this discussion, Ted, because even in the break, reports that the Cowboys nearing an agreement with Ezekiel Elliott, and guys like us screamed about, hey, you don't take a running back at number 4 in the draft back in 2016, and it's water under the bridge, but at the same time, you do wonder if the Cowboys are kind of still using the 1992 playbook a little bit, while the league has evolved 3 decades since. What do you think about all of that discussion?
I think that having a back like Zeke, it puts a team in a tough position, because obviously Zeke is at least a top 3 back in the league, and he has great value to the Cowboys, because you can't argue. I forgot what the exact stat was with Zeke in the game, they see so many 8-man boxes.
Yeah.
That does help the offense if you know how to take advantage of that. So Zeke does provide value for the team, and it is always hard to let a player of that caliber go in his prime. So it's just it puts the Cowboys in a difficult position. We'll see how much that contract extension ends up being if it gets done. But it's just difficult when you have a player that good of Zeke's caliber, and him being of that age, and even talk about positional value. It's hard to let him go. I mean, the Raiders did it with Khalil Mack last year, and you could argue with a pass rusher's value is a lot higher too.
Yeah,
but it's a difficult decision.
When you classify, and there's no doubt Zeke is a top 3 running back in my opinion. However, I am using traditional checkpoints to come to that conclusion, such as rushing yards and the ability to do things that running backs have always done. Do we at any point need to recalibrate with regards to running backs should essentially be slot receivers at times? Kamara, I know Gurley will run verticals on you. Zeke is a receiver for sure, but most of it is dump downs behind the line of scrimmage. And do we need to measure running backs slightly different the further we go down this road?
No, for sure. I think that running backs with value as receivers should be seen as almost in a different class as running backs that just offer their value in the run game. A lot of the top offenses in the league know how to take advantage of running backs in the pass game. Like Kamara brings a lot of value, like you said. We saw what Christian McCaffrey did for the Panthers last year.
Le'Veon.
So, Le'Veon Bell. I mean, it's just one of the biggest mismatches on the field is a run-stuffing linebacker against a running back that can run routes. And if you can take advantage of that, that brings a whole new dimension to your passing game. And I believe last year there was an all-time high in running back targets. So the league is starting to catch on to this. I want to see Zeke be used more creatively in the pass game instead of just as a check down, as a screen guy. I think he's good enough to get split out wide and run a slant occasionally. I think that he could be used similarly to Kamara. I don't think he's as good as receiver as Kamara, but I think that he's good enough to be a legitimate threat. And if you're going to pay him, if you're going to give him a big extension, I think you have to really start taking advantage of his abilities as a receivers and not just on check downs and screens.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole conversation, whether we're talking Prescott or Zeke, is how much of this is their finite skill set, Ted, and how much is it just the way they've been utilized with Scott Linehan, and will Kellen Moore be able to uncover some new roads we didn't know about, And that's, I suppose, once again, we call that football, don't we?
Yeah. And just thinking about it, the Cowboys just have a lot of difficult decisions because Prescott he's played well, but he hasn't played like a tier 1 quarterback, and he's about to get tier 1 money, I think, if they do get an extension with the Cowboys. And then, like we talked about, the positional value and with a player as good as Zeke. So they have some difficult decisions coming ahead of them. It's not easy.
Ted, a pleasure. We could certainly talk a lot longer, but we appreciate your time, and let's do it again down the road, sir.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on.
Great job on your piece. That's Ted Nguyen at FB_film analysis on Twitter if you'd like. And that piece was the chance to check that out as well. All right, what's on the news?
A rough week for freezers.
The Ticket presents Girlfriend.
Dennis Miller, David Spade, and Norm Macdonald.
Wait, what?
Which I would. At WinStar World Casino and Resort Friday, August 30th for a night of comedy. You can text WIN to 22126 and get a pair of tickets. WIN.
Like Ted Nguyen?
To 22126. You can type it however you want, Bob. You're not eligible to win. You can do whatever you want. Text BOAT for all I care. Right now, let's do that 1:30 news live from Cowboy Training Camp with Jake.
Thank you, Dan. Hey, Mino.
Racing Canes. Woo!
Gonna warn you, gonna be a dark one. It's gonna be a dark one.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Two straight days of murder-suicide stories as Arlington police found a couple dead inside their home early Monday morning. They believe it is a murder-suicide. They were called to the home Sunday night, Monday morning at 2:30 a.m. after they were told someone might be dead inside a home. They get a warrant. They go in. They find a man with a self-inflicted gunshot wound in the bedroom. He was 66-year-old Edward Leon Rogers Jr. Then they found a woman's body in a freezer. Police believe the two were married. So this doesn't seem to have, to me, the same Romeo and Juliet feel that the one from yesterday did.
It's not quite as romantic.
So not a copycat.
Doesn't seem to be.
Jeez.
But that has to be...
like your whole body was in the freezer?
Yeah, so that's got to be like your buddy's dad that hunts, who has the meat freezer, you know? Like a big old outside, which I believe was on... when Sean and I did the list of things that you thought meant you were wealthy when you were a kid, family that had the big freezer in the garage, like deep freeze or meat
That
freezer.
meant you were wealthy?
Damn.
I always thought a second fridge.
We always had one of those.
Second fridge
we
was on
actually
there
had
for sure.
2 of those.
2 big freezers?
Yeah, full of meat and venison and stuff.
Yeah. If you hunt, that's par.
Jeez.
Yeah, venison makes you super rich.
Well, no, but if you have to have somewhere to store it, you have so much.
Well, no, the
It just
premise,
means you have someone in the house that likes to hunt.
the premise, Julie, is that we were wrong when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like if you owned a jet ski or an outdoor
above ground pool,
an outdoor hot tub,
An above ground pool is definitely a fluency.
But I
Which
always
we had
thought
both
if you
of.
had that hot tub on your deck,
which we had.
Yeah, we
was
had
awesome,
that too
and
at my dad's house.
it kind of turns out it meant you were
Go on.
Awesome.
You couldn't have a real hot tub.
It's just a lot lower rent than you thought. You're like, gosh, jet ski guy, he must be a millionaire. No.
I enjoyed it.
So are we
The
allowed
mom probably
to...
has a room full of Beanie Babies.
Oh, yeah. Waiting for that value to skyrocket.
The Christmas Village.
Are we allowed to use our movies and TV expertise and crack this case a little bit?
Go ahead.
But she was mouthing off or something?
No. Just the idea. My first instinct was, if you were going to kill yourself, why would you go through the trouble of putting her in the freezer? And as I think this through with my sleuthing skills, I almost wonder if the freezer situation happened, then started haunting him a little bit, and he felt the heat getting too close.
Yeah.
And then thought, you know what? This isn't going to go well for me.
There's a power outage. And he's
Someone's
like,
going to start asking about her or something, and maybe I should just get my check here as well.
Yeah, like someone was at the house over the weekend and they kind of started to lift it up, and he had to do the slam it down shut. Well, it's nothing.
Or her, it's loved ones keeps calling
her
for
sister,
her.
her sister keeps
I
bothering
can't keep coming up with excuses on where she is.
I'm gonna have to kill them all.
Right.
Or myself. Yeah, let's just do the easy thing.
Let's just do the easy one.
Because otherwise, the freezer thing doesn't make any sense, right?
No.
Or she fell asleep in the freezer by accident because she was playing hide and seek.
I doubt that part.
Yeah.
And then he felt really bad about it, like our story yesterday, and he killed himself right away.
So that guy probably thought right before he pumped that Borelli and said, I'm ending this, good night to me. He probably said, at least tomorrow, I'll have the most deranged, grotesque, freezer death-related story. But no.
Oh, gosh.
A man in St. Louis who moved in with his mother whenever she was battling cancer. He moved in to help care for her in her final days. When she passed away recently, he started going through her stuff, sorting out what to keep, what to toss, and he remembered a box that had been in his mom's freezer for his whole life. He says, "I'm 37. It's been in the freezer for 37 years. I was always told it was a wedding cake top." Well, his mom also told him whenever he was growing up that she was pregnant and lost a child before he was born.
Oh, no.
But his mother was a secretive person who never spoke more on the subject. Yes, the baby was mummified in the freezer for the last 37 years.
I know.
That's terrible.
The story reads like she lost it naturally and just couldn't deal with it. And that's what she did. He reached out to his estranged father about the discovery. He says, quote, he told me my mom was pregnant on their first date, and the next time he saw her, she wasn't. So something happened. She lost it, before birth.
Or did she?
Or we don't know.
We don't know.
Now, but
she could have given birth and then pulled some chicanery.
I think that's a little heavier than chicanery, but...
Well, I'm just trying to...
So how did he discover this?
A little chicanery
little
going on in
hijinks.
there.
She's doing bits. She's cleaning out her stuff because she's passed recently.
Yeah,
and he's going through, she's probably a hoarder.
Oh, look, there's that box in the freezer I've always been interested in.
Take a look at this wedding cake.
Yeah, and it's like, he says it still had skin, hair, and everything. It was mummified.
As things in the freezer will do in 37 years.
Well, this last story doesn't involve a death, but...
And with something
Jake,
funny.
yeah, let's...
I warned you, and Bob's like, "Oh, I'm excited. Let's do some dark stories."
I don't know if that happened.
Freezer baby, yes.
Jeez, Julie.
This wasn't that, of course, not the bite about the baby in the freezer.
No.
No one died in this case, but they could have, and if they would have, we would have been debating yet again how dumb we were as youth. More vehicles were damaged over the weekend in uptown Dallas by people throwing rocks. Police are amping up patrols in the Katy Trail. Incidents as far back as May, at least 3 in July alone. People throwing rocks from the Katy Trail bridge down onto Maple Avenue. And some of the photos of this car damage and these windshields is pretty significant. And they will put you away, even if you are 16, if you smash a windshield and you die while driving or you kill someone else because you lose control of your car.
Jeez.
We've had those stories before. Well, when you're like 14 or 15, especially if you're a male, your brain is not really developed to understand planning.
Yeah.
And your prefrontal cortex or whatever it is, you're not, you have to be like 24 or 25 before we come around to the what's step 2.
Is that fun though? Like throwing rocks at cars as they drive by, is that really that fun?
Yeah,
it really kind of kicks ass.
That is not
great time.
It rocks.
See, this is
No
where
pun
girls
intended.
just don't understand some things. I don't know why, but
Breaking stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
20 years later, guess what? That kid's going to get a rock thrown at their car and he might die.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
I know. Whenever
just like our story yesterday.
Dan will support it.
No, I'm just saying 18-year-old Dan was not looking to 38-year-old Dan. He was not.
He wasn't looking to
interested.
19-year-old Dan.
No. It was all about, crescendoing and just causing mayhem. Now, we threw snowballs at cars. And, in retrospect, that's probably a bad idea, too, on an icy road as cars are navigating at night. And we're hitting them right in the middle of the windshield and laughing. And now we've been chased through the neighborhood by, if I hit 23-year-old Jake's car, well, that guy's pulling over right away and chasing me and beating some ass if he can,
Is there a...
but it's all part of the game. It's exhilarating. It's life.
I know this isn't really Black Mirror's jam, but is there some sort of Twilight Zone Black Mirror episode where all guns are eradicated and then the street gangs start throwing rocks and we just kind of see the ramifications of crimes with rocks on the uptick because
you can mess somebody up with a rock. I mean, over in like the Middle East, like in Palestine, they throw rocks all the time at like the IDF, and they mess people up with those.
What was the show?
You could kill somebody.
Yeah, what was the show? Sleeper Cell, where they actually did stone a dude, like the biblical stoning, but it was.
They did that in Handmaid's Tale.
Really? A stoning?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that sounds.
They had to
like,
hold him in their hand.
That
and,
sounds
and
like
kill
the worst
girl.
way to die.
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't throw it?
No, they all. Isn't that right, Julie? Didn't all the
Are you
handmaids?
spoiling a?
You always think I watch that show, but I haven't watched that show.
Oh, it's funny.
I'll watch it eventually. Although,
yeah, I thought you watch every
that
show
doesn't really make
involving
me want to watch
ladies.
it. I know any girl show. Julie,
Yeah.
what do you think of that one?
What a weird threat.
Well, I'm sure you don't watch The Bachelorette then.
Oh, we've been talking
yeah.
in breaks all day.
So much happened.
Bet you don't even know who Pioneer Woman is.
Jeez.
Nine out of 10 lady shows you do watch, right?
No, actually not.
So you didn't watch Mrs. Maisel?
I bet you
I
wouldn't.
watched that, and I watched The Bachelorette, and that's about it.
I bet you wouldn't get
Those are
excited
not-
at all
Bachelor in
if-
Paradise.
If JoJo came up to the studio, I bet you that wouldn't be a big deal at all.
I would be very excited to meet JoJo.
Okay,
So would I.
you watch every lady show.
And
That's two. I said two. There's
Well,
a
I'm
whole
sure-
lot.
well, I'm
they don't
sure
watch
you don't
any
watch-
of those Real Housewives shows.
Well, I'm sure
or-
you don't watch Big Little Lies then.
Come on.
Okay,
Let's all be
3.
She watches every one of them.
No, that's 3. That's it. That's really it.
I'm going to now defend you, Julie.
Thank you, Bob.
This is how Bob does it. He starts the attack, and then by the end, he's
slinks away.
yeah, I've
rescuing
kind
the
of noticed
damsel in
that
distress. Yeah,
in my year here.
yeah. He's
noticed
not a
that
good
as well.
guy. Is what I'm.
Oh,
trying to
he's
say.
a very good guy. Just misunderstood.
All right, well, there you go.
Yeah, see?
Wow, what a give up.
That was a give up.
Thanks,
All right,
Jake.
that was some great news, Jake, and it ended happier.
See, we were able to bring around the stoning story.
That's right. We learned why on the Channel 8 news they don't end with the baby in the freezer. So Cowboys
Timing.
today, heavy Zeke talk next. holding out here at camp is Zeke. He went to Cabo. That's fine. Nothing bad can happen to the Cowboys after some of their players go to Cabo. And that is kind of what we're going to get into here a little bit, as Jerry Jones has been talking Zeke, and he did his annual Sunday night swim through all the, your Ducey and your Dale and your Newey and Bill Jones have the Sunday night sports shows. If you remember last year, the big controversy was that Jerry would not discuss the kneeling.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, that's what I guess they told Ducey right before he was to go on the air. And Ducey took that stand that you can't tell me what to do and said no to Jerry. And then I think later told us he kind of regretted that. We had him on right after that.
Right.
And Jerry did do the other shows. And so I've listened to all these. Jake recorded these and threw them in the Dropbox. I think you did, Jake. And if you did, thank you. And if not, just
You're welcome.
Take the credit. But it was funny because I think all the guys seemed to bring up the kneeling. Like, hey, I wasn't allowed to ask you last year. I'm going to ask you right now about kneeling. At least I know Newey and Dale did. I don't remember.
This year he took off his hat there for the anthem at opening ceremonies.
Oh, did he really?
Whereas last year, remember, he didn't. And there was that awkward discussion of, why didn't he?
Did he have his rug on?
Did he forget to take something with him when he left the house?
Yeah, wasn't there like some breakdowns of the photo?
Lip reading as he's telling Steven why he's defiantly leaving his hat on during our anthem because he believes in honoring the anthem and with every move of his being.
But in the Dale, let's play
Cowboy
this first,
so
Jake, just because in the Dale interview, something tickled Jake. I also found it amusing, but it's Jerry speak. And Jerry's trying to talk about having it all or regrets or something. And this is what he says. Tell me, Bob, if he got this phrase right.
And of course, if and butts or candy and nuts or whatever that deal goes. But
nailed it.
And butts.
Because I know that's a favorite of yours, right?
That's a San Martigliano classic that I learned at Liberty, which is if ifs and buts for candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. Never fully understood how nuts and candy would affect my Christmas enjoyment level, but it was one that everybody loved back then.
And of course, if and butts or candy and nuts or whatever that deal goes.
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
All right.
Butts.
Now on to
something.
Or whatever that deal is.
I know butts are in there somewhere.
Now on to the elephant in the room.
Boy, that's glorious.
But it says Zeke. Zeke not at camp. Zeke holding out for more money. Zeke has 2 years left on his deal, but he wants to re-up now because he's kind of looking at the landscape, and the Cowboys already have a lot of very highly paid players. They have yet to pay Amari. They have yet to pay Dak. Maybe he's thinking, or his people are like, and if they pay all these other guys, maybe the odd man out when they pull a chair when the music stops is Zeke's chair. Maybe they can't go highest paid at this position, and Zeke won't end up getting his. He's so very valuable to what the Cowboys are doing right now. This might be the most leverage we ever have. So that's I think their mindset as he holds out here. So Bill Jones asks him about paying Zeke, and thought you might like to hear what he says here.
Is Ezekiel Elliott to this Cowboys team what Emmitt Smith was to the 90s Cowboys?
Well, of course, Emmitt had participated in a Super Bowl, being the first rushing champ. This is very important. First time ever a rushing champion was on a Super Bowl winning team. The point there is you don't have to have a rushing champion to win a Super Bowl. But Emmitt was the first one to do it. And that's one of the dilemmas at running back, is that the league knows that you can win Super Bowls and not have the Emmitt Smith back there or not have Zeke back there. Consequently,
when we are looking and putting Zeke's contract in place, we've got to realize that the ultimate goal is to win the Super Bowl. And so you've got to do all of the things along with having Zeke that allow you to have other players so that you can win the Super Bowl. And that's what we're going through.
Now, that's completely a management argument if he was arguing on why, whether it be radio man, right? I mean,
I hate that so much.
Well, it's you could say if I'm negotiating with Aaron Rodgers, I see lots of Super Bowl teams that won without the best quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
So I don't really totally need you, to tell you the truth. So your move. Yeah, it's.
No, it drives me.
It's just like, so what if they had the second best rusher in the league? Does that mean?
I was going to say, I mean,
it's all relative to other teams. And
you're not baking a cake, okay? You're not making a pitcher of lemonade where we have a set recipe and this is how you win a Super Bowl. This is a competitive league. There are 32 teams that all try to put the best team together. They're all going to be pragmatic in how they build their team, and they're going to try to put the best possible collection of players out there at the same time. Nowhere in that whole diatribe did I say they need the best running back to win, because there is no such thing as they need anything. They don't need a 20-sack guy. They don't need a 50-touchdown passer. They don't need a 2,000-yard rusher. But they do need special players, and Zeke is a special player, as was Emmitt Smith. Now, is he the right one to win a Super Bowl? Man, that isn't about the Cowboys. That's about the Cowboys, the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Saints, the Rams. I mean, you're not playing the computer. You're playing the league. And so the recipe to win the Super Bowl is not based on how you build your team. It's on 1,000 variables on who got hurt here and who's available here and what team gets on a roll in the other conference that you just ran into at the wrong time. There's no recipe. And Dan, since we've been doing this, we've talked about all these little truisms, and it feels like Twitter brings them out even more. Boy, you don't win a Super Bowl if you play in a dome. You don't win a Super Bowl with remember the no black quarterbacks ever won a Super Bowl.
Well, you never do until you do.
No team that's ever paid their quarterback the most in the league has ever won the Super Bowl. No this, no that, no nickname that's a bird.
No,
has
he's
ever won a
clearly
Super Bowl.
in negotiation mode.
Yes,
there,
he's negotiating,
which is odd for Jerry, because Jerry usually is the guy saying anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, do we have Steven's audio from February or March where he says we're going to start a Gurley's deal?
Right,
I mean,
which is odd for Steven, because usually he's the guy that's close to the vest and not throwing out the Jerry talk.
So no, you don't need a top rusher to work your way to the Super Bowl. On the other hand, the 2004 Patriots had a 1,600-yard rusher. Did you remember that? Remember when Corey Dillon almost won the rushing title with 1,600 yards?
Well, it's like saying.
Remember when Terrell Davis pretty much ran the Broncos there twice?
Again, you
or
don't.
Emmitt Smith 3 times.
You could come up with any one thing and saying, I don't need a 20-sack guy. I don't need a quarterback to throw 40 touchdowns to win it. Well, okay, it's true.
Right.
But it'd be cool to have a 20-sack guy.
It would hypothetically make your road easier.
It might make things easier on the rest of the guys if I do have the NFL's leading rusher. Now, I wanted to go to the second part of his thing.
Okay.
Because that's a big deal, and what he's talking about, and he did this on all the Sunday night sports shows.
Okay.
Is he talked about, look, we got all this thing, this whole big, you got to pay everybody. You got to do it over here and here and here. And it made me think about, okay, everyone that you do have to pay, in Zeke's mind, he's got to be thinking, I am as valuable as Dak to this thing. And I'm hearing Dak is going to be making $30 million. And I could be the odd man out. So it's the who means more to who, what means more to this franchise moving forward. And is this a thing where I always hate this going back on the player, but in a sense it has to, in the way the CBA is written and the fact that they have a salary cap, it's true that you can allocate more funds across the board if your quarterback doesn't take every last possible cent that he can. Is there any thought in the Dak camp that, like, I could take $20 million a year, but you could make sure we keep Zeke and Amari Cooper and a left tackle?
That doesn't how it works, though.
Yeah, but it did with Tom Brady.
No, it didn't. Tom Brady didn't get to sit in there and say, if I take less money, you're going to give it to Gronk. He said, if I take, give me this and build the best team you can take.
Right.
Well, they're not going to let Dak say where that money goes. They might not even spend it.
Well,
also, wasn't that like Brady's 4th contract when he started that?
Absolutely.
I don't think in his first. No, I mean, when Romo, I thought it was right from the get-go. When Romo signed his deal, it was way more that, Brady has always been well behind the curve. He never.
I don't think he's ever been at the very top of the pay scale, but I also.
And he always could have been.
I also think we blow out of proportion how little money he's made. He's done very, very.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it's a little dirty like that.
And longevity, but right now his base salary is not in the top 10 quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's also 42 though, right? I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, but he's also
no,
like
but
the MVP of the league.
I agree, Dan. I'm just suggesting he's made
some
money.
But the thing is, if anyone takes less money, who does? It's always the top. It's not like you tell the lower guys to take less money. You always tell the top guy, in order to be able to.
Now, does Dak get to say, I made as much in a 4-year rookie contract as you made in 1 month, Zeke? And you got your $25 million already in the bank, and I've barely made $3 million?
He'd have a great point in saying that.
So,
but moving forward, he's getting over $100 million no matter what. Does it have to be $150 million?
I'm not sticking up for Dak, but if anyone wants to make the claim that running back is as important as quarterback, even on the Cowboys, they're freaking insane. It's 3rd and 10. Your season's on the line.
Yeah, but this is
the
Zeke's
running back
camp
has nothing to do. Well, they can say whatever they want. You can say whatever you want. A caller can say whatever they want. It's false. It's categorically false. Because there are certain downs and distances, very, very big ones in football, 3rd and 4th down and long, where the running back has almost no role whatsoever. And you might even sub him out for a wide receiver. And so I don't care how important a running back is, it does not approach the value of a playoff caliber quarterback. And that's what Dak Prescott. Undeniably a playoff caliber quarterback because he's been there
even without Zeke
for 3 starts. Well, I mean, that's the great question.
That's the thing.
What's Aikman without Emmett? What's this guy without this guy?
Right.
We can play that. We can play that game till the cows come home. But what we do know is their roles on this team should not be confused. One has the ball in their hands every down, and the other gets 18 carries, and that's important. It's very important. But don't confuse the two. Just like quarterback and DeMarcus Lawrence. Lawrence is very, very, very important. But if you tell me one of those guys is going to miss 6 weeks, I'm not going to say I want to see Mike White or Cooper Rush out there for 6 weeks. Are you?
Absolutely not. But I'm just pointing to the fact that Zeke sees this thing as Dak and Zeke.
But he also sees this thing as
now he sees one guy is going to make $150 million. And I might just be the odd man out, and they'll say, I'll just plug someone else in. It's because I don't think you can just plug someone in. You might be able to get over 1,000 yards.
I'm definitely not Zeke, Dan. But if you ask me, who's he more obsessed with right now in their money, Dak Prescott or Todd Gurley? It's Gurley.
I keep thinking that we're talking about this like they would be putting Alfred Morris and running the same pass rush balance and plays as they do with Zeke. Like, that's not the point. The point is that their offense could be more efficient if they put in Alfred Morris or whoever.
Yeah, but could it with Dak?
Yeah, but I think I'd like to find out. I mean, I think if you give him $31 million, you owe it to yourself to try to find out. And that starts with not letting Cooper go.
Hasn't a lot of your questions been about Dak and whether he could be that kind of a quarterback?
Definitely, but once they gave him a legit number 1 and not Dez's corpse, my faith grew tremendously.
Yeah, I think adding a true number 1, a true number 2, frankly, in Gallup, and now the hypothetical possibility of a scheme upgrade. I really am not worried that much about Dak Prescott. That doesn't mean he's Drew Brees. He never will be. But But can you win with Dak Prescott? We've already seen it. So
with Dak, without Zeke, That's what I don't think we have seen. And I'm
well, but we haven't seen Cooper without Zeke. I mean, again, if you're going to take away Tyron Smith and Zeke and then tell me your best wide receiver is going to be Cole freaking Beasley, yes, we're going to have a hard time winning with that quarterback. But now, okay, replace Zeke with DeMarco Murray 2013 or 2012 or something along those lines.
Well, the question is replacing Zeke with who's on the roster right now.
Well,
and that's what Zeke is hoping he's forcing the hand of the Cowboys.
How about the old one from 2016? Replace Zeke with Derrick Henry. And can Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper and this offensive line go win games? Of course they can. Of course they can. Now, what are you replacing Dak with? Is it Connor Cook? Or who else you could have got in that fourth round? Or I guess he couldn't have got Cook. He was gone. But, it's Cooper Rush, Mike White. Who's up there?
They're look, I don't want to lose Dak, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here.
No doubt.
Especially if Zeke actually misses up into the season.
I just don't think the Cowboys have the stomach for that. I think they're talking tough on Bill Jones' show, and they're signing Alfred Morris to sort of a shot across
light
the bow,
fire
but
under.
That's neither of those are going to have any impact whatsoever. And the moment they start to think this is serious is the moment that they.
I'm hearing the audio.
They do the deal with.
Sorry,
I didn't mean.
No, he was like, "What are you saying?" When I point down, it's like, "Turn down the audio, please."
All right, so there you go. We've got that discussion done, and let's move on because
we've got plenty more.
It's 2:11. I mean, we could talk about
Guilty
this
as
all
charged.
day. It's a great topic, but at the same time, I don't think any of us really believe they're walking away from him. It's 2:10 at Sports Radio 1310 The Ticket. Let's do some all or nothing next.
This is
tougher test in the Giants, who have won 12 of 15 to bust into the National League wildcard race.
Cowboys at training camp for 2 straight weeks. Every show all day from Oxnard. Brought to you by Metter Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, North Texas Tollway Authority, and Sports Radio 1310 and 96.7 FM, The Tick.
It's 2:15. It's Bob and Dan show. Hey, I feel like this show kind of zoomed by. Zoom. All right. Let's get this party right.
Well, you know what they say. When nuts and candy
butts
are in your butt.
If nuts and butts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. All right. So here we go with NFL today, if you will. Lots of football today, without apologies. Get used to it between here and February. Football. And all or nothing is being viewed by the gang. And we're working our way through this Carolina Panthers look of their 2018 season as NFL Films provides. And what do we got on our plate today, Dan? Because we're all trying to go through this simultaneously and in unison.
Yeah, so let's just talk about through episode 4. So 3 and 4 kind of. We gave you in 4. We already watched it. And we already played some audio, which was Cam's closet. Cam laid out all his suits. Cam has a freshly tailored new suit every weekend, and he says he will never wear it twice.
Yes, we don't want the haters to see you wearing the same suit for 2 different games.
You're estimating 5 figs per suit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, for sure, especially if you throw in the top hat, the custom-made top hat.
So you're spending $10,000 a week on clothes, and you're saying, I will not wear it again because I'm a fashionista. I don't
like
want
they're
to.
all tailored perfectly. So then what do you do with them? I mean, do you take them to drop your pants and you're like a 6'6", 260-pound man with perfectly tailored orange suits? I mean, I just don't know. I don't know the secondary market for the Cam suits. Do you have any insight on this, Jake? Given
have you seen the homeless in Carolina?
I've not.
Maybe they're just at the corner of the highway and when you're getting off. Yeah,
I just don't know what you would do with those if you're not wearing them twice.
But that's
you might be able to give them to a buddy or something, but mostly I think you're just throwing them out.
That's because you can,
man.
So
throwing them out.
We will think about whether you want to trade portfolios, what Cam has at the age of 50 and what you have at the age of 50. Since you're not the same age, we can't.
Well,
we have to use a time machine.
His ability to make $20 million a year should give him quite a financial advantage on the rest of us, regardless of if he's throwing away, let's say, high-end $500,000 of clothes every year. He still should have 19.5 to work with.
And I would have thought Adrian Peterson had enough money too.
I hear you.
But
don't you think a lot of it's free?
The clothes?
Say that. Sorry. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. How does that work with
like Vanna White's clothes are free because they give it a plug at the end of the night. The
if a tailor's
the Oscar actresses they get clothes for free because they're promoting the designer is who's just giving Cam. I don't think Cam's clothes are free. I do not.
No, I assume it costs a lot of money to have the tailor come to your house and size you up and actually debate what colors we're going with for the Buccaneers game next week.
Cam seems to have a great life. He has a tiny motorbike like on Dumb and Dumber, but it looks like a better one.
Yeah.
Did you see him riding to
Of course I did.
The stadium on his little motorbike?
All I could think of is bad reasons for your quarterback to get hurt for 500, Alex.
Yeah, that was the first thing wife said to me was, so they can just do that in the dark in the morning out on the street?
I mean, it looks awesome, but
you're $20 million a year quarterback.
That has to be a contract violation. It takes one curb or pothole, right?
Like they can't go skiing, but you can do that?
I don't think so, but I also don't know how closely they hold his feet to the fire on these things. I don't know about sending a camera crew to capture it, but whatever.
So episode 3, it told you a little bit about Ron Rivera, that he was on that 85 Bears dynasty, right?
Yeah.
They are showing you a bit of Luke Kuechly in the film room.
I'm becoming a huge Ron Rivera fan.
Yeah, I really like him too.
Very likable, and it seems like he has a really good grasp of being a smart coach, but also being a coach that the players really will fight for and really enjoy.
Seems to have that presence about him.
Yeah.
Like he's definitely a leader of men. He doesn't have to raise his voice to prove it. Went under, I don't remember if it was 3 or 4, but I do remember this as I watch it. I'm like, oh yeah, last year this did happen when he went for it. They were down by 1 point on the road. He decided to go for 2 instead of kick it and take his chances in overtime or with that last minute of the game. And they did not make it. And I do recall now over the last few years, haven't we looked at his history, and he's morphed. He's grown as the game has grown, right? He used to be
Riverboat Ron.
Yeah, he used to be more Garrity, very risk averse, and now he kind of goes for it. Even if you're thinking maybe you shouldn't have gone for it there, I don't know. Anyway, they were showing Kuechly, giving him some lunch pail props, showing him in the film room, and they watch film. And I don't know how they do it, but he had an Xbox controller, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what that deal is, but that was interesting to me.
Norv's son had an Xbox controller as well in a future episode. That appears to be how the Panthers have their whole film rooms linked up. Mino was pointing this out as well. They all control the film with their Xbox somehow.
Makes sense. Most of them probably use that as their cable box at home.
Probably.
And that feels the most at home in their hand, I guess. You just know how to navigate with this thing in my hand. Cam on the sideline before a game, motivating himself, amused me. This is just him. He's not talking to anybody. He's just talking to himself while he does some high leg kicks or whatever. He's just firing himself up. Here's that audio.
You got to tell me you seen that pan.
Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. This is the one.
They can't stop you, man. They can't stop you. They won't stop you.
They can't stop you, man. They can't stop you.
Work too hard for this, man.
I found that interesting. I do think Cam is viewed as a leader of men, man. I do think the guys, when he came back from that, looked like a violent concussion, but came right on the field the next play in a previous epised. I think his guys love him.
Yeah.
And I think they fight for him.
Right.
This is him on the sideline trying to motivate a bit, and I think he's doing some Superman stuff. Pretty excited after, was it a short pass or a pitch or something? But he laid a really big block on a linebacker.
That's
and
right.
Cam, you got to remember, is as big, if not bigger, than many linebackers he faces.
I'd say he's bigger than almost every linebacker in the league.
And he put this guy on his rear, and he's pretty fired up about it.
You got to tell me you seen that pancake block. Oh, my God. Yeah, I got to see my block on the D. Oh. Hey, that's a great job, man. I'm telling you, we got to just get completions. Everything else, these motherfuckers don't want to tackle. They don't want to hit. They just want to cover and bat the ball down, right? Be physical on the perimeter, on the run game, and all that shit. It's going to come to us, man. Great job, man.
So for all we want to say about Cam, I do think, I don't know, I don't think you can teach being a leader and stuff, and I think he takes to it very naturally.
I think he does wonderfully in that department, and I if the question has ever been, do his teammates not like him or don't fight hard for him, then I think you're barking up the wrong tree. Cam is absolutely loved by his team.
But as a coach or an old media guy, you might say, I prefer my quarterbacks a little more vanilla. I prefer them to at least, maybe it's the optics, right? Maybe it's, I don't know.
It's an interesting adjective you use there, vanilla.
Why?
I don't know if you were talking plain or skin tone, right? Some might have heard that in the. No, I'm just playing.
Oh, certainly not. I mean, more boring.
No, I know you're not. But
like I think
but
Dak
that could be misconstrued. Yes,
I think Dak suits my sensibilities for quarterback. I think Dak is boring.
No, I agree.
I think he's vanilla. I don't think
the knock on Cam would be a few things. A couple in terms of mechanics and throwing ability and so forth. But really, more than anything, it would come down to the overall personality as it pertains to being coached and making the decisions in the course of the game that help you win or lose. But he at his best, he's been fantastic, and I have gone through a huge metamorphosis with just he's metamorphosis. You know what I'm trying to say, but it's he has not produced consistent play over his career, and there are plenty of reasons that would explain that. I think,
little things. He's wearing 100 bracelets. He looks like my 14-year-old daughter.
He definitely does not apply to the Bill Parcells rules of quarterbacks,
which we're going to have to play at some point during camp.
Okay,
because we remind ourselves. A couple more pieces of audio. Let's just pick one. I'm going to tell you. Let's make a game time decision here. When they're calling Josh Norman, it's funny, but it's like 2.5 minutes long. And it's kind of hard to hear, but it's interesting that they called Josh Norman, and it seems like they're giving each other secrets. So if you're worried about, teams sharing information like Randy White and Conrad Dobler, do I have that name right?
Yeah.
They would never have talked to each other, right? If they did, they would have gotten in a violent fist fight, and it's just old guys. Don't. But Josh Norman, they played together, right?
They're old friends.
They got in a fist fight at camp.
Oh, did they really?
That?
Yep.
So
and that's why camp said, "What do you want, round 2?"
But here's another one for insider trading. Steve Smith, who gets in on-air fights with Michael Irvin these days, also used to play for the Panthers.
He did,
but
and had a messy divorce, which apparently has already been smoothed over.
So is this what he is doing before a game or during practice, I think? Is this more egregious than you asking John Daniels about a AA player that you have on your roster in a fantasy league?
You can't prove that's ever happened.
Hey, Cam, can you come here real quick? So I got him on my bench. DJ Moore.
He's showing.
Should I? I ain't benching DeAndre Hopkins. Should I let John Brown be on the bench? Or
that's kind of disrespectful. Like John Brown, he ain't no asset. He got a lot of choice selections. I'm giving you insider trade, so don't report me.
No, I'm just saying. So should I take him off the bench? Because currently he on the bench.
Yeah. You got to start him.
What if I just flex? What if I put him at flex?
I don't understand that.
That just means an extra guy. Like,
yeah.
Put him at flex because he's not a real wide receiver yet. He's just kind of developing.
I wouldn't say all that now.
No, I'm just talking about for fantasy. Should I start you or John Brown?
Asking DJ Moore.
It's a legit question. Is it not?
It's legit. Start me.
Start you? You give me 2 points, I'm slapping it out you.
Man, awesome. Have you ever seen The Football Life with Steve Smith?
No.
Do yourself a favor.
Really?
It's brilliant. And you also leave that convinced he's been in a fight with every person whose paths he's crossed his entire career. Steve Smith, don't care. He's the real honey badger. And he's like the smallest guy in the NFL when he was awesome. And so that dude is a legit legend in my mind. I'm a big Steve Smith guy, even though he's scary as heck, just in terms of like, even having him on your show, if he's like a Radio Row or something, you'll be pretty sure he's about to choke you out. That's how he rolls. All right.
Hey, some real quick breaking Cowboys news, fellas.
Okay.
Per Calvin Watkins of the Dallas Morning News, Jeff Heath just picked off a tip Dak Prescott pass in 7-on-7 drills.
Yay! Jeff Heath is great. Boo! I'm not paying that guy $30 million.
Man, I don't know if Twitter can handle training camp. But I was kind of wondering what Jake had there.
I thought he was going to be Zeke just signed.
And then
Got
you
a
said
little
Jeff
bit of
Heath, and I'm
breaking
like, man,
news.
is there an ACL laying on the ground over there somewhere? But okay, everybody's fine.
He's been working on picking off balls. That was one of the things they were going to work on this year is intercepting more passes.
We want more turnovers
yeah,
this year.
This is great news.
All right, it's 2:30
for the defense.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you for keeping us up to speed on
Real
what's going
bad
on.
news. I really wish you would have picked off Cooper Rush. Jeez, Dak's got to be smarter than that, dude.
Yeah, you call him elite?
Jeez.
Rather Flacco in here. All right, up next. Let's do some Why Today Doesn't Suck or something like that with Corby and Mike because Garrett's at 3 o'clock high on the ticket.
Frisco Rough Riders and Sports Radio 1310 and 96.7 FM The Ticket. Once again, BaD Radio presents Why Today Doesn't Suck.
I suck.
I suck.
I suck.
They all suck. And now, here are your hosts, Bob Sturm and Dan McDowell.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Coco. That's a pretty old Why Today Doesn't Suck open. Is that the first one?
I didn't hear it. What?
Are you able to find that one again?
Once again, BaD Radio presents Why Today Doesn't Suck.
I suck.
I suck.
Oh, that
I
one?
suck.
They all suck. And now, here are your hosts,
Very early.
Bob Sturm and Dan McDowell.
Definitely year one.
That's the hammer.
Hi, Bob.
That's the hammer and the original Don Nelson.
Big Don.
Davey Lane and George, the other two.
You win.
You might have to hear it again.
I think.
You win.
Once again, BaD Radio presents Why Today Doesn't Suck.
I suck.
I suck.
I suck.
They all suck. And
Don
now,
Nelson.
here are your hosts, Bob Sturm and Dan McDowell.
Hi, Bob. Coco.
Hi, Coco again. All right, so we're good with the open now?
Yeah. I mean, you could play it one more time.
Yeah.
Come on. We have new listeners every 3 seconds.
Here's Mino.
Once again, BaD Radio presents Why.
It's fun. Tito's Handmade Vodka and A1 Locksmith and Security brings you Dan/O.
Okay, so we have to do Why They Doesn't Suck here because Garrett is scheduled for 3 o'clock. So we informed the hard line of this. In fact, Jake said he texted Corby. However,
a little more than here.
Corby is not here, but we do welcome in
Okay.
my leader and yours with a freshly shaved neck. Man, that thing looks clean, buddy.
Neck?
Yeah, it looks like very.
Did you do
Looks like you shaved that neck this morning.
You groom?
I do it every day.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, that's fresh. Mike Reiner of the Hardline.
Mike Reiner?
You look great.
Did you end up seeing
So
a
do
movie?
you. So do you boys. No, I didn't.
Oh, that's right. We lost you last night.
Yeah, I wandered
And
off.
Why'd you peel off?
There was a lot of concern from the Corby camp. They called our car and they're like, "Did you
Silver
guys see
alert,
Mike?"
silver alert.
Yeah. So we all left dinner at the same time. We don't want to go out like a bunch of hobos. So we're at the car getting in.
Well, Norman
and-
Blake didn't leave at the same time.
Well, Norman Blake left early, and Blake was very upset about that. But
he knows
Mike-
enough not to give Norm any lip.
Mike drove with Corby there, and then you were walking with us to the car.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "You want to ride?" We had an extra spot. And you said, "I want to walk to the movie theater to see what's showing."
Yeah. I just kind of peeled off and wandered around downtown for a little while.
And yeah, then Corby called us on the way, and he's like, "Did you guys take Mike?" And like, "No, he said he wanted to walk by the movies." And then he's like, "Well, how's he going to get home?" And there was a lot of hand wringing and worrying.
You know,
about
I was going to go over to the boardwalk and walk down it like I always do. Like
which
I've
is
done
like,
a million
what,
times.
a 20-minute walk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's a healthy mile, but it's not two. Not even close.
It's a chilly walk,
No.
though.
Yeah,
you were
it-
wearing.
And to
I
hear
was.
Only a
hear
t-shirt.
Corby and Tony discuss you trying to walk an entire mile
Like Tony's like, it's dangerous.
all
He's,
by yourself.
He's alone.
I'm like, Mike's gonna be fine.
All
I'm
right.
like, he's an adult.
All right. Look.
And then they thought you might take a
All right.
wrong turn into the ocean and we'd never see you again.
All right. Stop the music.
Or walk
Just stop
Santa
the
Barbara
music.
way.
Just stop the
Like, oh my
music.
God, he went north instead.
I probably
Natalie
walk.
Holloway situation.
Oh, you're on Vandersloot. The god.
I probably walk a mile around the streets of downtown every single day and night.
That is such a
Humble brag. Yeah.
I do this all the time. It's
You like to walk.
fun. Yeah, I do. I'm a
Walking's
I'm a
enjoyable.
walker. I'm
Do
a
you-
walking man, to quote the great James Taylor.
Do you ever run down the beach like the Monterey 5?
No, I've never acted like the Monterey Five.
Have you ever thought about how much they're into running?
They seem to be.
That show really enjoys the running.
So you're a walker and you like Texas Rangers.
Yeah, I am.
That feels forced.
I'm a walker, and I love the Texas Rangers.
Feels like a pot is calling the kettle black over here somewhere, but
I'm a man now.
It's all right, Dan.
Now joining us, finally, we can stop vamping.
The man who
Corby
has called off his search for Mike
I
downtown.
thought you were told hours ago to be here at 2:30. You confirmed via text, I'll be there at 2:30.
What time is it right now?
2:42.
Well, was Mike here on time?
Oh, he was here early.
Okay.
There's a reason for this.
Did he walk here?
No. We played a little game with the parking attendants and to try to get Mike to not have to walk. And it worked.
He likes to walk.
Yeah,
just
but
told
it was more of a game that we were playing. And so
you got to park in here?
The game was to see if we could park in here.
Instead of on the street with the media?
Yeah.
Me showing up on time was just an unintentional side benefit of that. An unintended consequence, if
Now,
you will.
did we use your advanced years to our advantage?
I believe we did.
They did. They were
Now
used, yes. And not only, that's not all that was used.
No. Let's just say that you were staring at a World War II hero.
Yes. My military background was
Did
used.
you record?
Oh, yeah.
Stolen valor, no less.
World War II? What do you think? You're 100?
Uh-huh. We were also playing on the fact that those guys probably don't know their dates very well.
Could we get the stars to honor you between periods?
I don't know.
After this, after the yarn that I spun with these guys, I think he may be seen in a whole new light.
And all the time I was just sitting there staring up ahead like I might or might not know where I was.
So does this replace the My Dad Died interview as the most offensive thing that will air on the ticket this year?
It's not offensive.
Oh, no, it's great.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's really honoring our veterans.
Well, he also, we had to explain later on in his life what happened to him and why he's unable to walk now.
Yeah, there was that.
So,
hey, whatever gets you close to park.
if I may revisit the Gil Brandt thing just for a moment, I have a follow-up.
So
Small follow-up.
So no relation to what we were just talking
No,
about.
it is. It's World War II and the age.
Okay.
So the anecdote of 7-year-old Gil Brandt listening to the 1940 NFL championship game.
Is this Friday follow-up?
Sort of. But just to put that in perspective, Jerry Jones born 1942. Like 2 solid years after that game was played. That
After Gil Brandt is watching. And Jerry Jones is the oldest man.
Gil
you know.
Brandt is already an NFL fan 2 solid years before Jerry Jones is born. And 1 solid year before Pearl Harbor.
God.
Fun with dates.
Woohoo, Pearl Harbor. Where's that drop?
Well, no.
Do we have one?
We used to.
Uh-huh.
I don't think we play Corby drops anymore, though.
No.
Well,
Woohoo,
today,
Pearl
Mike.
Harbor.
Oh. Today is Tuesday, July 30th, the 211th day of the year. 154 days are left in 2019. On this day in 1945, the cruiser USS Indianapolis,
Oh, no.
having just delivered components of the atomic bomb, was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine.
Oh. This is the worst story ever.
1,200 men on
Pearl
board.
Harbor.
317 of them survived.
And weren't they thrown in Shark Tiger? Shark
But
infested
anyway.
waters?
This is the Independence.
Went into the
We
water.
live in
is
the
this-
bomb.
no,
This
the
is what we did.
Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah, the Indianapolis. We did a Bad Road Reports on this.
Now, is this
last
the
November.
thing that Soroy does the thing
Yeah.
on? Okay, yeah.
This is Jaws.
All right.
We
that's,
delivered the bomb.
that's the only reason I mentioned that, because
Their
I thought
eyes.
this was the same story.
Like
They have metal bats too, which I
like a
didn't realize till I got
doll's
there.
eyes.
Like a doll's eyes.
And Ty, on this day in 2002.
You got to hear the hardcore history on the Indianapolis if you haven't. It's amazing.
It's a good. Is Ty here today?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, Ty likes these stories, Julie.
Okay.
Hey, Julie.
I'm a girl again.
Man,
Hey.
I love Julie's
I'm a girl, I'm a guy.
dude voice.
Hey, Julie, have you ever
It's
played
terrible.
golf?
It's like Lucy.
Yeah, I've played golf.
You have?
I've played golf. Yeah.
Okay, we're trying
How
to figure
quick
out
can you
if
get out here?
if
Are you terrible?
No, I'm not terrible.
Bring your
you
money.
jerk.
Corby wants you to be bad because we're having a bad golfer tournament at the ticket.
Yeah, we're going to do
Obviously.
the April Fool's Open again, and I didn't know if you would be eligible. But if you've played before, you're not eligible.
I mean, yeah, I've played.
Okay.
I don't
now-
like go out and play 18 holes,
Oh,
but
now she's going to downplay it.
Oh, yeah.
How many do you play?
if anything, maybe 9. But I more like to just go to the driving range or go to Topgolf.
You know what I say, Julie? 9 is fine.
Perfect.
What's wrong with 9?
Go to Topgolf and grab some margs while you're hitting.
Yeah,
exactly.
Why not?
18 holes is a lot.
Maybe a little rosé.
It takes a long time.
Do you
That's
think
a lot of
100 years
commitment.
from now, like golf will just be played at Topgolf?
Rose all day. You like virtually?
Yeah, like wouldn't that be better?
There we go.
Yeah.
I think 100 years from now, golf will be seen as the
Rosé
fool's game
seltzers.
that it is, and nobody will play.
Nobody.
Nobody.
You'll have
so
to hit
Ty.
the ball into the middle of like the green that's on fire. The earth is just
Right.
in flame. Like, yeah, see if you can hole it right in the middle of that napalm.
Well, I
Ty.
am pleased to report that here in
Ty's here.
Wildfire, California, all the courses seem to have held up really well.
Yeah, that's the most important
So the
thing.
important thing. And on this day in 2002, this is for Ty, Lisa Leslie
In Cult Jam.
became the first woman to dunk in a professional game, a WNBA game,
I met his daughter.
on a breakaway
I do know his daughter.
in the first half of the Sparks 82-73 loss to the Miami
Oh.
Soul.
Law.
A historic night.
I mean, kind of a dunk.
What's their dunk contest look like at the All-Star game in front of the 3 people? Are there more contestants than there are fans in the stands? And that's not a shot.
Why do you want to bag on the?
Yay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give you some information, some sports info, and
Those are all drops.
And Damon Warren, happy 48th birthday. Line 4 guy is his leader. He'd like to hear a joke.
Is he there?
You know, we're airing this a little earlier than usual. Maybe he didn't get the memo.
He can tell Garrett the joke during the press conference.
The mill doesn't let him out till 3.
Oh, that's right.
And he slides down the dinosaur's back.
I think that's
he forgot to ask
Flintstone.
Mr. Slate if he could get off 20 minutes early.
I've never done this before, but I hope you wish my son Max happy 30th birthday. His wife is expecting their first child. We're both P1s. It would make his day if you would. His heroes are Dan and Line 4 guy. This is from Jon Elliott.
So he's not expecting, his wife is.
Right. Although I think when Jake's wife was pregnant, he kept saying, "We're pregnant."
Of course he did.
That's right.
Put his hand on his stomach.
He'll be renewing his vows next month.
It's beautiful being in love, isn't it, Jake?
The best.
I wouldn't know, but I'm happy for you two kids.
Your wife knows.
Whoa.
Jeez.
What does that really mean? That's-
Like he just
Your wife
came out
Means you're-
swinging.
That's not very
Means,
nice.
means you're out of town, Chief.
Why would you insult somebody's wife? I can't imagine.
Check that
doing
doorbell
that.
cam.
Ooh, gosh.
That's right. Why'd you disable the doorbell cam, honey?
Yeah, don't worry
Can't,
about it.
it's not working on my phone right
just in
now.
repairs. Just in the shop.
And Dan, today is my husband Rob's birthday. He is 53. I did not wake him up in that special way. Mike is his leader. Please play Bob's opinion of the Buccaneers. Thank you from Amanda.
That was
When I
one of the
did
worst
something, he
Buccaneers
yelled,
teams. Harsh.
Was that the first single off of that album that America wasn't ready for? That?
Yes, it was.
We weren't ready for
No,
that.
you weren't ready for that.
Another birthday
You
news.
saw the impact it had.
Lots of
You ever
birthdays
sing
today.
Amanda into a hairbrush?
What?
Hold on there,
What,
Seabass. Oh, go ahead. Ask your question.
You ever sing Amanda into a hairbrush?
No, our hair blew.
Many
better this
birthdays
morning.
today.
Many? Like tiny ones?
Many.
Many.
Like multiple.
Okay.
Here they are. Alex Goligoski.
Wow.
Bill Cartwright. Terry
Big
Crews.
Bill.
Misty May Trainer.
Terry Crews. Haven't y'all had him on?
Yep.
Fancy with
He got-
That's the wife of the former Ranger great, Matt.
Didn't Terry Crews get Me Too'd?
Yeah, he did. Like a Hollywood producer grabbed his junk.
Season 7.
If you
Terry Crews.
if you kill the Joe,
What place did he finish
Fancy
in?
with the Stars.
you make some
10th place, and it was
I'll let you office line back me.
She was the first person to have to withdraw during the competition because of an injury.
Let's go on to something that has some importance to it, if in fact there
Tate
is
Crews,
anything.
whatever.
Oh,
Wait a minute,
Who won
what'd you
that
say?
year?
What'd you
7?
say?
Yeah, who won that
What did you
season?
say?
Brooke Burke.
You may have
And
missed
she-
what
Oh,
I
wait,
said. I
Coach.
said, let's go on to something that
has the
has some
greatest-
Coach is talking-
importance to it, if
Margin
in
of
fact
victory on the
there is
judges' scorecard
anything.
ever.
I
Hey,
only
Tony,
asked
are
him-
you able to join us on the air right now?
Oh my God.
Calvin Murray,
that's
Doug Rader.
Kyler's uncle.
The former Ranger manager and one of the biggest baseball red asses I've ever encountered.
Calvin Murray, Little Dan.
Didn't he call you Bub or something like that?
Tiny Dan was upset because the Indians
called me
drafted
meat.
him.
Meat.
Yeah,
He called him meat.
he called everybody that.
The Indians drafted Calvin Murray, but he went back into the draft rather than sign with lowly Cleveland. Like went back to college.
Just imagine.
Jerk.
And asked me when was the last time I had on a jock strap.
He's Uncle Calvin to Kyler.
You know who didn't do that? Baker.
Nolan.
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
No,
Bud Selig, Hope Solo.
Fancy with the Stars.
These are all
Jake.
today's birthdays. We also
Jake win
have
the World Cup had been so much better if she'd have been involved in it.
Pretty much anything is better if she's involved in it.
Didn't she make the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs?
5.
Oh, we have to go in a
4.
second. Hold on just a sec. Also, Tom Green.
Made
I
a
wanted to mention
sandwich
that
run.
because of the whole bum is on the rail. And Martin Starr.
Well,
It's his
Oh,
birthday today.
Martin Starr. Yeah, that is Mike Guilfoyle,
Oh, really?
and that's Bad Radio's
great
own
Guilfoyle?
Guilfoyle.
Wow.
That's Bad
That's a hard
Radio
line
Zone.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Bob. I think we got to
We
go.
better stay in our day part.
And you're done.
Get to that tea time.
Shut it
What?
down! Let's go!
The ticket.